Welcome. I'm Nora Shabazi, the founder of EBLI, Evidence-Based Literacy Instruction, a system to effectively and efficiently teach learners of all ages and ability levels to reach their highest potential in reading, writing, and spelling. And today I'm going to talk about part one of a blog series that has two parts, the foundations that lead to great reading. And this is going to be, this one is about the skills and concepts that we need to lay that foundation so that we can build upon it and become a great reader and speller and writer. So all of this is really about the code. English is an alphabetic code that was created for people to communicate. A few thousand years ago it was created. And learning to read and spell is not natural like walking and talking is, okay? Our brain is not wired for reading or learning to read. So we have to have instruction to create those connections so that we can figure out this code and be able to apply it when we read and in spelling when we write, okay? So there's, we use codes all the time in life. There's simple codes. I love to tell the story about Sequoyah, who's created the alphabet, really a syllable code for the Cherokee Indian tribe. He was the first person in human history that could not read or write, but created a code for, and a language. And he and his daughter, who was 6 years old, did this and worked to create the code and then taught the entire Cherokee nation from around the whole United States at that point in time. And what he was a silversmith, and he saw, the European settlers looking at what he called talking leaves. They were books, and he's thinking, oh, there's leaves, and they look at them and then they talk. So he figured out, and he pulled some of our letters from English and a bunch of other different ones too, to create this 85 symbol language that was a very simple code and easy to teach. And he and his daughter taught it almost explicitly. And then, as more people became adept at it, they helped teach that. So that was more of a simple code. Now you can think of a complex code. For me, the computer, okay? Coding a computer is something that I'm completely illiterate at. I have no idea how to do it. It's not that I can't do it, it's just that I've never been taught how to do it. And that is along the same lines as the English alphabetic code. It's a very complex code, and if our kids or even ourselves are not taught how the code works or the logic of the code, it can be very frustrating to try to, be able to manage it. If somebody asked me to do coding on a computer, I would want to throw it out the window. And when we ask kids to read a book, when they don't know the code and they can't accurately decipher the words that are on the page, it creates a lot of frustration, and oftentimes they want to, like my daughter, throw the book across the room or, avoid it altogether. So this part is talking about how we have to have that code. Now this code, a lot of people call it phonics, right? It's basically all phonics means is matching the sounds that come out of our mouth to the letter or letters that represent them on a page, okay? Or we're going to write the letters on a page if we're writing. So in order to manage that code, we have to know how it works if we're going to manage it to our highest potential. So this is the foundation. It is not all of reading, all right? And hopefully nobody would ever say that is all there is to reading, but it is the crucial component that has to be there in order to build to all of those other wonderful things, namely comprehension and also writing, to be able to be highly literate. So we have to have this code, and the more we can use it accurately and then become automatic at it, the better we can become, at whatever age, highly literate. So the code is the key. And in our next blog, I'm going to talk about, and also in the next webinar, with these two, part 1 and 2 together, I'm going to talk about some things that are going to make it easier to teach that code so that you can accelerate it. And if you want to experience yourself a simple code, if you look at our Pretend Reading webinar, in there I actually had the participants experience what it felt like to decipher a simple code. And so you can check that out and experience that for yourself. So what we have to do as educators, as parents, as anyone who, even for ourselves, to help someone to move to their highest potential in literacy, we really need to be sure that that code is solid for them. So I'm going to talk more about that and show more about that in our webinar that we do once the second part is done here also. So I thank you very much for listening. I appreciate you learning and being part of the, our team here to teach the world to read. I'd greatly appreciate if you also would comment in the comments and get conversation going or keep the conversation going and ask any questions that you have so that we can help you with those. And I thank you again for listening.